welcome back, my gracious Grav Ship crew, to yet another episode of RimWorld Odyssey. The final episode, I might add. Last episode, we completed our crucial mission of destroying the Mech Hive core, rendering every single mechanoid deactivated. The same mechanoids that were populating the asteroid where we plan on building our base once more. So, today that's exactly what we're going to be doing. To begin though, we are going to be laying to rest our friend Nathan, who sacrificed her life in the battle with the mechanoids. For the time being, we've built a steel sarcophagus similar to what we did for our old Captain Sissy in the cargo bay of the ship, and we are going to be burying her here and giving her a proper hero's funeral. Next on the agenda, our ship is in desperate need of some major repairs due to the battle with the mechs. Our hull is breached in several different areas, for example, and many of the ship's weapon systems are damaged severely as well, or just completely destroyed, so we had to take care of that as well. The mechanoids are offline, but we don't want to become a sitting duck for pirates. As we were making these repairs to the ship, Fitz has seemed to fall in love with Grump, and the two of them are now together. It would seem that the drama and the intensity of the battle and the situation as a whole with taking down the Mech Hive has driven the two of them closer. There's just one little problem. Fitz is already married to someone named Cece. The whole damn crew is full of cheaters, apparently. Seems like Coleman must have infected the others with the slut virus, as he seems to be our patient zero, being the first to cheat and whatnot. In more depressing news, Puppy here is injured pretty badly. So bad, in fact, that his spine has been shattered by a Lancer's charge lance. Something I didn't realize after the battle at the end of last episode. Not only had we lost Nathan completely, but it looks like Puppy is going to be bedridden furthermore. Something I thought we could do to maybe help relieve this is finding a bionic spine for him. Now, we are on a mech platform where treasures galore are, well, galore, and there are some pretty great treasures in these types of areas. So we started exploring all throughout the rest of the mech platform, all these buildings, without any issues since all the mechanoids are deactivated, I might add. But unfortunately, it seems that we never came across a spine or anything that could fix Puppy's spine. Regardless though, we were able to find some other useful treasures like Litter World Medicine without getting turned into a fine pink mist by any mechanoids. We also found an Archotech leg. Now, of course, this won't help with his spine, but maybe we could sell it to an orbital trader for a bionic spine. I don't know. Then we found something a little bit more interesting. This is a Tech Prof Sub-Persona core. This little device apparently has an AI core that will allow us to finish any research that we are currently working on. So some major projects like marine or recon armor or advanced fabrication, something like that, I'm sure it would be absolutely perfect for. How does this help Puppy? It doesn't. I kinda gave up hope on him by this point. In our pursuit of resources and items before we leave the mech platform, though, the captain would destroy what remained of the core, getting us advanced components, some plasteel, and, of course, a persona core from it as well. And then, I remembered, we have a healer mech serum from, like, episode 1 or 2 or something that I completely forgot about. I think we got it in one of those ancient bunkers when we were looking for our first grav core. We ended up using this on Puppy, and actually it did heal his spine, which is pretty incredible. And to think I was just going to let him lie there with a crippled up spine. Sorry about that, buddy. Glad to have you back. Now that Puppy's spine isn't broken anymore, he can actually help us out with deconstructing and also shredding many of these mechanoids, and there were quite a few here. We were going to take them for steel and components and whatever else we could get from them before we decided to hit the road. Once we had finally shredded enough of them to our heart's content, I think it's about time that we finally head back home. Finally, joy, oh joyous days, we are finally home. And it is about damn time, might I add. Granted, things look a little bit different than how we left them with a gigantic mech invasion and whatnot. And to be fair, a good portion of our crew have never even been here or seen this place before. Though of course they have heard our stories about this place, as well as our epic escape from the mechanoid invasion. They really did quite a number on the base, so much in fact that it's barely recognizable, and we're most likely going to have to basically start from scratch. Looks like we have a lot of work to do. Let's not waste any time. First things first, we need to get this place back into working order before we can make it self-sufficient, where it's able to stand on its own legs without the grav ship while our teams are out on missions or whatever else. Essentially, right now, we're just getting the lights on, and we're also getting some vents and walls back in place. But of course, it wasn't all going to be building. As you can see, and as you've probably guessed, we have a lot of deactivated mechanoids. Notice I say deactivated, not dead, because we can't haul them, we can't do anything with them until we start killing them. I wish it were as easy as flipping a switch on their back or pushing a button under a capsule or something, but looks like we're going to have to revert to the more primitive method of stabbing them in their exoskeleton sternum and also shooting them with shotguns. Now technically I'm pretty sure we could have carried the deactivated mechanoids out into a pile and not have worried about it, but we actually want to use them. By use them, I mean shred up their corpses into steel. We basically have an unlimited amount of steel here at the asteroid base because of all the dead mechanoids, which in my opinion gives more of an asteroid base look and feel to our hallways and other rooms that we're going to be using steel-plated flooring in. I like Vaxstone, but I don't want everything to have that dull brown look to it, of course. Yes, instead now it's going to have a dark, dull gray look, so much better. Right? Well, either way, the steel that we're getting from the mechanoids was going to be very, very useful for other things, like solar panels that we're going to use to power the base, of course, as well. Once again, a bit poetic. Not only is our gunship grav ship solely made up from a lot of steel from mechanoids, but most of the components and whatnot here at the asteroid base are as well. Now that we've got a lot of the basic stuff, like power, some lights, and also some oxygen within the base, we can start on some more complicated and crucial things like hydroponics basins, as well as a kitchen and food storage area. Our top priority is going to be making this place self-sufficient away from the ship, as I've discussed. For now, we're going to be growing rice in these basins, and these, accompanied with the few that we have on the ship, should be sufficient enough to feed all of our crew and growing population of crew here inside the base. But I do have a more long-term solution that we'll get to in just a moment. And even with the small amount of progress that we've just now made, the base is looking much, much better and is starting to really take shape once again. It brings so much joy to my heart to see our base finally coming together, and it'll be staying that way this time. No longer just surviving, but also thriving. But just as we've seen time and time again, whenever we're up, somebody's gotta come to try to bring us down, huh? Dirty, unwashed pirate scum. Fine. If they want to send their privateers and soldiers to die out in the void of space, away from their warm homes and beds, so be it. We'll happily oblige. It's not the first time that we've spilled pirate blood here at the asteroid, and something tells me that it surely won't be the last. The last time, though, that they had attacked us here, we didn't have all the autocannons and slug turrets on our ship. This is going to be much easier and much different. It would seem that your pirate king or captain, whatever they call themselves, has abandoned you and forsaken you. Such a pity. Not all the pirates were completely useless, though. This one, going by the name of Justice, actually had a really good crafting skill. Just the kind of fella that we need to go about shredding some mechanoids for us. Assuming he decides to join us, of course. I mean, the alternative is turning into a blood popsicle outside, so, you know. choose wisely. And we also started stripping the other pirates. We could really use those vac suits in our armory for all of the new crew members that we look forward to getting in the future. You may have noticed though, this pirate in particular seems to not be suffocating to death or affected at all even by the vacuum of space after having her suit torn off of her. I can't believe that I've only just realized this throughout the entire playthrough, but this is a special xenotype called the Starjack, which is apparently bioengineered for the vacuum of space. And perhaps the most interesting part is our crew member Fitz is also a Starjack. You can see by the little weird curve things inside his forehead. Now I saw those and I thought it'd be rude to ask, so I just never figured this out, I suppose. Anywho though, with all the new vac suits that we got from our dead pirate friends who were just so sweet to donate those to us, along with all the weapons from the ship, we now have a stocked or semi-stocked armory for the asteroid base as well, ready at a moment's notice to any crew members in need, though most of them are always keeping that motherfucker thing on them. Our hydroponics room is also producing our very first harvest of rice since we've rebuilt the base. Finally, it is becoming self-sufficient. I know, sorry, I keep on saying that, but I really want to stress that this base doesn't need the grav ship anymore. And that is the most important part, because if we end up continuing this series, maybe a season 2 or something, I want the grav ship to be able to leave this place, of course. But when we're not out on missions, we are going to need a nice place for everyone to stay, and obviously we're building the asteroid base, but included in everyone is also going to be our feathered avian companions. And so, as such, we built a very nice and comfortable room for our pet birds. We ended up getting them into their room and they seemed pretty happy about it. It was a little bit hard to tell because they were kind of injured. Okay, so maybe I had a little bit of an oopsie and I almost killed them due to vacuum exposure, but I didn't. And last episode, and the episode before, and also I think a community post, I asked you fine folks for a name for our macaw, and we have the name of Macaulay Culkin, which is a very nice name, and is also provided by our friend, Irate Prag. So thank you ever so much, and thank you to everyone who suggested names. There were a lot of really good ones in there, so I really appreciate it. We do still have a lot of work to do before we turn this asteroid house into an asteroid home. And we're currently working on a lot of that, which entails more mining. But I feel like you guys might get a little bit too bored if that's all we do this episode, so I also have a few adventures to the surface planned. We've detected some faint and disappearing signals from an abandoned colony on the planet. Hard to say what awaits us there, but there's only one way to find out. We have an adventuring squad comprised of Bentley, Didge, Coleman, and Mitsuya. I know Mitsuya only has one eye, but Coleman refused to leave his lover. Regardless of her little seeing problem though, she is an experienced fighter and they are all going to be perfect for this job and for adventuring a bit. We arrived on a stormy evening and started going all throughout the wooden structures of this abandoned place, and to be honest with you, there was actually nothing here for the most part, except for a beautiful, shiny, glassy black rock which appeared to be obsidian. Not gold or silver, but a valuable resource nonetheless. We did also find a couple of sleeping bags that were made out of devil strand. Why somebody would waste this precious textile on sleeping bags, I don't know, but it's ours now. Since the colony seemed to be pretty useless for the most part, we ended up going into an ancient danger, at which point we found a tech print, glitter world medicine, and yet another tornado generator. We also found a bunch of sleeping people in these cryo-sleep caskets. Perhaps they were the colonists who lived here. They seemed to be pretty friendly with us, so we didn't blow their brains out, and we just kind of went on our merry little way after loading everything back into the shuttle. With that, we were off to our next destination and our next adventure, just a few clicks to the northwest. This appeared to be an ancient, abandoned junkyard and warehouse. Surely there are some useful metals here at the very least. You would hope so, and as would I. But we were playing a little bit fast and loose because I'm a silly Billy, and I almost got Coleman and Ditch killed, but they didn't die, and that's the most important part. And we ended up finding a few different things, steel component boxes, stuff like that. Nothing too fancy, I guess. With all our newly acquired items from our little excursion to the surface, we finally ended up returning home, bringing back with us some uranium and many of the other things we mentioned, as well as a billiards and poker table. Absolutely perfect for a proper recreation room on the inside of the asteroid base. Sure, you need to feed your crew that live here, but you also have to keep them entertained. Otherwise, that's when cabin fever sets in and somebody will go batshit and start killing everyone else. Or, so I hear. Anyway, though, this is Justice. You remember him, the pirate who was trying to slice our throats just a few days ago? Well, he's not wanting to do that anymore. Instead, he wants to start shredding some mechanoids so we have even more steel. What a kind fellow. Now, I don't mean to bore you to sleep, because I know this can be quite boring, so I just kind of sped up these clips for a very, and I do mean very, long time. We've done really nothing but shred up mechanoids and also melt down steel slag chunks, because that's basically what the entire asteroid was populated with by this point, and we also needed it because we needed a lot of steel because we have some pretty big plans. And you can actually see a pretty big difference on the asteroid itself after many a day of doing all this cleanup work and all this repurposing of resources, of course. But real quick, before we get to those big projects, I just want to mention that we also done some research into advanced lighting, because I'm so sick of the warm, homely lighting. We're in space, by golly. We need some fluorescent, depressing lights. As we're working on that research, though, we started working on a new project that is going to be comprised of heavy bridges. This, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be our shuttle landing pad. It's not all that large, but I don't think we'll need it to be, as we only have the one shuttle, and in the future, if we do another season or anything like that, we'll probably only be expanding those by about another 1 or 2, so should be plenty of room, I'd say. By the time this was all completed, we also finished up that research, and now, instead of looking like a cabin in the woods, we're looking like a proper space station. Ah, a white fluorescent eyesore for every room. Moving on to our next project, it's actually going to be a pretty large mining operation in the asteroid on the lower end of the base. Now, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but maybe a little bit of a hint that it is going to be something that we've used or had since episode 1 that we've yet to use. More on that in just a moment. For now, we need to start working on some proper defenses for the base. Not to beat a dead space horse here, but you've heard me say several times I don't want the base relying on the grav ship, and we're not, at least not for food or power or anything like that. But if we were to get attacked by pirates right now without the ship's weapon systems, I would really hate to see what happens. And so, because of that, we built several autocannons. Now then, with our defenses taken care of, for the moment we can focus on our little mining project. This, my friends, is our garden. Yes? No, you didn't hear me incorrectly. Yes, a garden. Ah, I see. Perhaps you've already forgotten about our Archean seeds, the terraforming trees. Yes. Now who looks like a silly little goober? You do. Anyhow, though, we ended up planting 2 of these trees inside this room, and as you can see, they actually very, and I do mean very quickly, start terraforming the land around them. It was actually very beautiful to watch. Yes, indeed, a little slice of the planet right here in our very own orbital base. A beautiful little area, or what is soon to be a beautiful area, as we are going to be turning it into a rice garden for the time being. It would be a shame, and also quite foolish, to have all this land and not grow something that we can use, and what we need right now is going to be food, of course. This is actually rich soil, so it should grow very quickly as well. Now, with this being our most natural and most beautiful place in the entire base, as strange as it may seem, we're going to be growing rice here, but I've also decided to put the previous Captain Sissy, as well as our crew member Nathan's tombs in here as well, so that they may rest among the stars, but also in their soil, where their ancestors would have been buried as well on the planet. I'm a sucker for tradition and also for sentimentals. Now, not only would we have them move there to be buried for the rest of their, well, afterlife, I suppose, but we would also have Grump and all her wonderful art skill use the beautiful obsidian from the planet's surface that we had at the abandoned colony to make a statue commemorating their lives and their service. The statue was absolutely gorgeous, as obsidian is a gorgeous material, and it was of the current Captain Woody, since he's the current captain when the statue was installed. I mean, after all, we want this base to be used by generations of our crew to come. As you can see, this particular room being very beautiful and whatnot, of course, and being the only true nature from the surface that we have here, is also going to be used for several different purposes. As I mentioned, I want it to be something of a garden, not only for crops, but a place that people can come, look at beautiful things like the room itself, play some chess, hang out, and just be comfortable and enjoy themselves. You can consider it a little slice of life and vegetation in a void that is completely devoid of any life at all. And with this beautiful garden, all of the things that we've put in place this episode, and everything that we've done to the asteroid, it finally stands on its own legs without assistance from anywhere else. And I think that it is truly an asteroid base now. A proper one, I mean to say. It was by this point that I actually started moving many of the crew away from the ship and into their very own rooms inside the base, as they were much more beautiful and just better in quality overall. And you know what? Everyone seemed pretty happy now. Well, it would seem we have more pirates who have come to put a great big wet towel on the flames of our happiness. Great. Most interestingly, though, we have Schlitzer, who happens to be the ex-lover of Ditch. It would seem this attack might be personal. As they landed on the opposite side of our little floating humble abode here, we were able to pick him out of the crowd. We'll try not to kill him if we can help it. Ditch will probably want to have some words with him at the end of this. We decided to use the last of our demo charges that we had, trying to place them in a little choke point to kill off many of the pirates in one go. This didn't exactly work as we planned, as it normally doesn't. Although we did end up injuring quite a few of them with the charges, which is better than nothing, I suppose. Our brand new base auto turrets, along with some from the ship, were managing to keep them at bay. Although, a few of them actually managed to rush our ship's crew, managing to get past the doors and inside. Even though this happened, though, they didn't like what they found within, as we cut many a throat and also pounded several of them with lead. And with that, the pirate threat was no more, for now at least. Now that we won the battle, we did the usual song and dance of going through stripping many of these pirates of their gear so that we could use it, and also healing a few of them up as best we could to take them inside. It would seem that Ditch would also have the opportunity to be reunited with her old flame, her old oh shit. Oh, okay. It must have been a pretty bad breakup, I suppose, huh? I don't know what he did, but I bet he deserved that. We would end up taking a couple of pirates in, tending to their wounds, as I mentioned earlier, feeding them, and most importantly, attempting to convince them to join us here instead of being tossed out into the void of space. Not only would we take care of our prisoners, though, but we would start taking better care of our crew, starting with some better rooms. We put plant pots in every single room, which is gorgeous, and we also put a few sculptures in as well. We need to make more, but those who get them are gonna love them, okay? And since the captain has been working his ass off on, well, destroying the hive and helping us rebuild the base here, I think that's only appropriate that he get his own personal bedroom that is just at least slightly better than everyone else's, if you know what I'm saying. You keep the captain happy and he'll keep you fed. Just kidding, he's a nice guy. Another little project that we ended up working on was yet another grav anchor. Of course, if you've been watching this series, you know that this is something you need so that when you leave in the grav ship, the place isn't completely gone. I built one of these previously. It was destroyed, and yet we could still return. I don't know if we need this one, but I built it anyways. Okay, moving on. Finally, the largest addition that we are going to be adding on to our orbital base here is going to be something of a docking station and or landing pad for our grav ship, gunship. Whenever we're coming back from missions, we need a proper place to park this bad boy, and doing it right on the edge here isn't exactly ideal, as one might guess. I definitely think that this is going to be a lot more efficient, and not only that, it looks a lot better too. Having a nice straight edge like this to dock with the ship, it's much more pleasing on the eyes, at least in my opinion. Another great part to having the docking station is it keeps the ship at a bit of a further distance from our base's defenses. That way, if we are using the ship and the base's defenses, they're not going to accidentally hit one another, say with our rocket swarm launchers. By this point, we also finally recruited Virtue and Hooper, the two pirates who were trying to kill us a few days ago, into our crew, and we are tickled plum pink to have a couple of extra hands. We're also putting some finishing touches on the base as for right now, but since this can be a bit boring mining things out, how about another adventure, this time to another mech platform? I personally would be quite interested to see what these are like with all the mechs deactivated. And for this little mission, we would actually end up taking Virtue and Hooper along with us, just to see if they're really loyal to us. You never really know if somebody's got your back until they have the opportunity to shoot it. So we would arrive at the platform, and without the hive, we could immediately tell a big difference. It was mostly just a floating chunk of silent, cold, dead metal. Now, the obvious benefit here is thanks to our heroic mission destroying the mech hive last episode, we don't have to worry about any defenses or attacks from mechanoids, at least in these platforms. Now, by this point, surely others have noticed that the mechanoids are no longer functioning as well, so we do need to be careful in case someone has the same idea to loot these places as we do. In this one in particular, we didn't find much except for some hyperweave and also an ancient power cell, which would be quite useful. As we were leaving, we also got word from the Outlanders there was an item stash just below our coordinates on the planet's surface, so we decided to head down there. Initially, the place appeared to be vacant until we saw two waster pirates popping out of it, and we had to quickly put them into the snowy frozen ground. Once we had finished them both off, inside the item stash was an orbital bombardment targeter. Since they didn't decide to use this to try to kill us, I'm guessing they were paid to try to maybe guard it for someone else. I don't know for sure, but something I do know is that this waster pirate surprisingly has given us our very first charge weapon of this entire series. Don't get me wrong, I'm very excited, but I'm shocked we haven't seen anyone else using one. Upon our arrival back home, we quickly unloaded our shuttle and started prepping all our new items to be taken in, starting out with our power cell. Similar to our grav power cells on the ship, this cell doesn't actually require anything to function, and it passively generates electricity, which is a massive help. We would also end up giving Ditch the charge rifle because she's a good shot and an experienced fighter, of course, but she has also been loyal to us since the very beginning. In case you've forgotten, which I, of course, would never, Ditch here was actually the first crew member to join us that wasn't part of our initial crew. She has earned and deserves so much more than we can afford to give her. By the time that we had returned, we also finished up another new section of the base. This is a new hydroponics area as well as another storage area for just some overflow because, well, we have a lot of items. And with this new hydroponics area, we're going to be growing food here, and in the old one, some cloth. We'll most likely just be using it for some uniforms for all of our crew members, but whatever we have left over can go towards other recreational items, or we might sell it. And since we're constantly getting attacked by pirates, I thought it might be a good idea for us to do some research into recon armor. But Rat Daddy, the video's almost over. My god, you'll never finish recon armor in that amount of time. Well, I have a little ace up my sleeve in the form of that tech prof AI thing, and we immediately finished the research. How you like them apples? Now with this research, we'll be able to build some proper armor for all of our crew to properly protect ourselves against the pirates. Since most of them seem to only have vac suits, this should really give us the upper hand. We toiled day in and day out working on a few suits of armor and also purchasing some more advanced components and stuff from some orbital traders, and voila, we have quite a few folks who finally have it, though not everyone. A vast majority of our crew are properly armored now. Finally, for the protective coup de grace, we started building some hunter drone traps. We've noticed firsthand that these are very efficient and effective, so we started using them for good this time around, instead of, accidentally getting blown up by them. And with that, my friends, I do truly think that our base is completed. Now, there may be more that we could put in, but all the bare necessities and things of that nature are completed. We're no longer surviving at the asteroid base. We are actually thriving at this point, as we hope to do. But, the thing is, at this point, the question kind of comes in. We've destroyed the mech hive, we've even destroyed insectoid hives, and we've done so much stuff. What do we do now? Well, we did end up getting an offer from the Empire of this planet. The Imperials said that if we hunt down a fugitive for them, they'd be willing to pay us with a useful item, so if we ended up coming back to this series, perhaps we could become some type of bounty hunting service, making our vast fortune among the stars. We do have a more than adequate ship after all to do this. Or perhaps if we return, we deal with these pesky pirates first and foremost. They have become a bit of a nuisance. Surely finding their hideout and killing their captain or king or whatever they call themselves will put a damp rag on this raging fire of piracy. It couldn't be any harder than the hive, that's for sure. But my friends, as I clear the intestines of pirates off my boots here on the asteroid, I suppose for now, this is farewell. Hello, fine folks. I just want to come in at the end of the video, as I always do, and thank you guys ever so much for watching today's episode, as well as the supercut if you're watching this a little bit in the future. This series, and genuinely, I know I say this about every series, this one has been so fun. It really has. The new DLC is so badass. I've seen a lot of you guys have been getting it, and you guys seem like you're really enjoying it. Seems like everyone in the community is loving it. They really knocked it out of the park with this one, and it's just been such a blast, and that's why I think I am so eager to return to this colony and to our people here. There's so much to do. We could quite literally just live here on the asteroid. I've been asking you guys for the last few episodes what you would like to see in our next series here in Odyssey, or if you'd like to see a modded series, please continue commenting in the comment section down below about ideas that you'd like to see. I would maybe like to extend this one and continue this one. It doesn't have to be from this perspective. We could send out other parties to other asteroids to kind of like a Minecraft skyblock, right? Minimal resources, and we try to make do. We could send colonies to volcanic biomes. There's just so much to do, and I really look forward to doing it all with you guys. But I love you guys ever so much. Again, thank you. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you for watching the videos, supporting the series, the videos, everything. You guys are amazing as always. And I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.